Welcome to Confessions of a Godly Wife. I'm Eunice, and I am your spiritual midwife and coach. And I help wives find joy in the midst of broken marriages. So today is another episode of a new series that I began entitled The Real Wonder Woman. Today I want to talk about the fact that every warrior has a source. And the strength of a warrior is determined by the power that is behind them. So when we look at Wonder Woman, we know that her strength is undeniable, but it's also not random. So in her story, we understand that her power is connected to her father, and his name is Zeus. Why is this important? Because it shows us that her strength is not just something she developed, it was something that she inherited, which means when you understand her power, you have to understand her source. When I was growing up, my mom used to read me all kind of stories about Greek mythology, and I know and understand that Zeus was known as the king of the gods in Greek mythology. So he actually represented the ultimate authority. He ruled over the heavens and the earth. So his name was associated with power, with dominance, with force. So, in simple terms, Zeus represented the highest level of authority and power in that system. So, when we look at Wonder Woman and we understand where her power came from, we understand that she doesn't fight just like everybody else because she's not like everybody else. Her strength is ultimately tied to her lineage. And that authority that she has, it comes from where she came from. And this means that her power wasn't just developed, it was inherited. It. Now, Zeus is a mythological figure, but this principle is very real because that same principle applies to us. When we have to ask ourselves, where does our power come from? Wonder Woman is empowered by her father. She carries that supernatural strength because of her origin. It's not something that she turns on and off, but it's really a part of who she is. And in the same way, we as warrior wives are empowered by our Father, God. This goes deeper than just saying, God gives me strength. This is about source. It's about understanding that your strength, your authority, and your ability to stand, it doesn't originate from you, but it does flow through you. This means you're not the source, but you are the vessel. And when we end up seeing ourselves as the source, we always feel limited. This is where we become tired, we become overwhelmed and unsure because we're trying to produce something that we were only meant to carry. So when you understand that as a wife, your power comes from God, you will stop striving to be strong and you start relying on the one who is. A lot of times, this is where we as wives miss it. We try to fight from ourself, from our emotions, from our strength and our understanding. But we don't realize that our power was never meant to come from those things. It's our identity that determines our authority. So when we begin to understand who we belong to, it will change how you show up in every battle. You don't have to strive, but you just stand. You don't have to react. You start operating from authority. This is where your identity and your source are connected because it's not just about knowing who you are, it's also about knowing who you come from. And when that becomes real to you, you don't walk into your situations the same way. You don't pray the same way and you don't respond the same way because now you have an understanding that there is a power backing you. The Bible tells us in John 1 and 12 that we have been given the right to become a child of God. And Luke 10 and 19 says that we've been given authority over the power of the enemy. This authority is not something that you had to earn, it just came from who you are connected to. So when you put all of this together, we understand that, again, Wonder Woman's power comes from her lineage, and a warrior wife's power comes from God, which means you're not fighting alone. You're backed by heaven because there's a power behind you that you cannot see, but it is very real. And once you understand that, you don't approach your battles the same way. So then the question becomes, have you been fighting from yourself or from your source? Because how you see your source will determine how you fight. Remember, wives, your power is not in yourself. It's not in how strong you feel. It's not in how capable you think you are, but your power is in who you come from. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because every warrior wife carries a power that the world cannot see. And the real battle was never just physical. I hope this episode was a blessing to you. And as we close out, I want to remind you you're going on a powerful journey because Wonder Woman is more than just a symbol. She represents identity, truth, and purpose. And in this series, we're going to uncover what it truly means to walk as a warrior wife. We want to be aligned, equipped, and unshaken in who God has called us to be. And this journey is more than about just what you do, it's really about who you are. Because before you put on that armor, you have to be aligned. And that's the foundation of my new book that I co authored. It's called Aligned, A Journey of Self Love. And you can find more about that in the description. If you're ready to grow, to heal, and to fully step into your identity, make sure that you subscribe, you share this with another woman who needs it, and you stay connected for what's coming next.